Hey, it's Amanda Elo'esh, and I'm here with my Goddess Diary, or weekly inspiration for living the life of a goddess, of a priestess, of a superstar. And I'm going to share with you a really special story, and at the end, I'll tell you why I'm sharing it. A lot of it's because I've found that a lot of people are really interested in hearing it, and this is my story of how I was personally initiated by Kali Ma. I grew up in a very conservative Mormon family in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I didn't have any access to any Hindu mythology or any mythologies really from any other cultures, and they were kind of considered evil. And so even though long after I no longer believe them to be evil, it just wasn't really something that I had access to or even any knowledge of. And one day I was shopping for a birthday present for a man who would eventually be my husband. I didn't actually know him very well. I liked him a lot. I kind of knew his soul, but I didn't know the details of his life, what he was into, what kind of music or anything. And so I wanted to buy him something special, but I didn't know what. And I was in this store, and I saw, it's way more common now, but you've probably seen there are like t-shirts and bags and lunch boxes and night lights that have Hindu artwork on it, Hindu gods and goddess artwork on it. And I was looking through this lunchbox that had Kali's face on it. My computer is deciding to slide off here. And I gasped because my instant reaction was that I thought it was a picture of me, which is really strange because I don't look anything like Kali Ma. I don't have a picture of her with me right now. We don't look anything alike. And then I gasped again because I was so shocked that I had thought that was a picture of me. And so it got me very intrigued to find out, who is this goddess and what is she all about? And when I first started reading about her, it was just so overwhelming. And again, it was probably about within the year, I was camping with some friends. I was at the Burning Man Festival, and I went in my tent, and there was a picture, again, this blue-faced goddess with her tongue out, and I looked at it and thought, oh yeah, there's a picture of me. And I thought, oh man, I keep doing that. But I looked at the picture, and I thought, well, how did it get here? Who put it here? And I thought it was probably my friend Christy. And I went and found her, and I said, do you know anything about this? And she said, yeah, it's mine. I drew a picture. I drew it for you. And I said, well, what is it all about? And she said, well, it's a picture of you. And I said, oh, wow. Do you know about my whole deal with Kali? And she said, who's Kali? So things like that continued to pop up, and eventually that man that I married, well, we moved from Utah to California, and things spiraled downhill really, really fast with us living together in a totally new environment. And unfortunately, he started using methamphetamines, and that is a very intense ride, and it really took his spirit away from his body. And it was a horrible time, very toxic. I had to get a restraining order. I'm not even going to go into any of the details because they're just so terrible. I would not want to open up that story for anything. But I held on to my connection with Kali because I knew in my studies of her that she was the destroyer of the ego, and she was the destroyer of illusion. And I had faith because of her powerful, undeniable introduction into my life that she was there to help me through. I thought and hoped that she would be there to help my husband as well, because he had a big ego and thought he could use the meth without any kind of consequence. Well, there were a lot of consequences for both of us, and but because I had Kali by my side, and I looked at her as a guide. Yeah, not as a lot of people think of her as this ferocious, terrifying, beast. Her mouth's all bloody, and she's got a head chopper, and she carries a head in her hand. But she's there to help us to embrace change, and to allow and embrace the things that need to die, the things that need to pass away, to serve the full cycle of life. There's a full cycle. Every growth requires a death to have something new. The old thing passes away in some form or another. And because I had been dancing with her and looked at her as an ally, I had these interesting lenses on and just really stuck to my belief that this is a training course. And Kali is here to clear away stuff that doesn't serve me. And I kept my eyes open, I kept my heart open. And even though I lost my community, I lost my marriage, I lost most of what I owned because my husband destroyed it all in his crazy mental breakdown on that drug. Had to go to get a restraining order to get him out of the house that he had completely trashed. Cost me a lot of money to clean that up. It was all traumatizing in my system, and he actually fought our restraining order, and I was in court on, get this, Valentine's Day to try to fight my husband to uphold this restraining order. It was a time that I think could have wiped just about anybody out. But I went through that experience without any regrets. There isn't one thing that I did that I thought, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. And that's a tough thing to say, to go through something really tragic like that, losing your friends, losing your husband, almost losing your home, losing almost everything that you own, and having your heart ripped open. I mean, my body had post-traumatic stress signs. I would have panic attacks and stuff like that. But because I had this relationship with Kali, I trusted that it was all happening to clear away things that weren't serving me. And I also was able to see how I was learning and strengthening in ways that I wouldn't have any other way. And I tuned in. I had yoga and meditation in my life. And if I wasn't working or doing the essentials of survival, like, going to work, eating, sleeping, buying groceries, I was meditating and doing yoga and connecting with Kali. And in doing that, I got all the answers I needed of how to respond. So instead of responding in fear, Kali taught me how to respond from a place of centeredness, from my own truth, that didn't have anything to do with what Dan, my husband, now ex-husband, was throwing at me. He really tried to destroy my life. Once I let him know that I wasn't going to support his meth binge and all the craziness that he was doing, he dived into all kinds of dark things during that time, and I became his enemy number one. And I went through all of that with a straight head, and it was a tough time. It was a terrifying time, but I moved through it, like I said, without any regrets because of my dance with Kali. So the reason that I'm sharing it with you is because we all have unexpected losses. The older we get, the more likely we are to lose friends, parents, family members, loved ones, at least to breakups, There's all kinds of losses we have, and most of them come out of the blue. Most of them are unexpected, and the only thing that we have that we can do in those times is to not let our fear guide us. And so I wanted to share that with you, because this is kind of the main, Kali taught me the main foundations of my practices that help me live my life without regrets, help me to show up in circumstances that are really tough, loss, death, crisis, accidents, mine and those of my friends and family, with a very calm, clear, strong, and heart-centered place. And that can mean the difference between life and death. It can mean the difference between moving through an experience with some grace and some dignity and without regrets, versus being overwhelmed, being overtaken, and suffering all the way through, and getting to the other side and not having learned anything. So that's my story of Kali. It's actually an abbreviated one. I had lots of other incredible connections, visitations, magic, channeling of her through me and her connection with me. But I wanted to share with you my personal story. I hope that it was inspiring, and I'm going to continue to be talking about the archetype, the general archetype that Kali fits in with, is the creator, preserver, destroyer. She brings life, she maintains life, and she takes life. Usually she's just the one that gets the rap for the destruction piece, but she's the full cycle of life. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about all this stuff this month. If you are not on my website, get on over there, amandaeloesh.com, and check out. I have all kinds of great blogs for you to help you live your life like a goddess, like a priestess, like a superstar, with grace, with dignity, with integrity, with your own personal spirituality intact, without dogma, without rules or religion. And if you like what you see and you're not getting my newsletters, I encourage you to sign up, because all I'm ever going to do is send you weekly blogs like this. In addition, I sometimes send out little gifties, little MP3s, or books, downloadable books, to help you with your life and to rock your life without regrets and feel like an amazing priestess, superstar. And I know that there are men out there watching. I have a lot of men that read my newsletters too. So don't be shy. Sign up. It's okay. Men can benefit from this too. And you're welcome as well. Sign up. And it's easy to unsubscribe if you get tired of it. And until next week, may Kali and the full cycle of life and the force be with you.